Right, after that electrical fiasco, which I'm not sure what it's proved, it's probably just proved that the electrics in this house are below standard and not really as safe as they should be, as well as my ignorance over the actual testing machine, what it's telling me. But at least we've checked some of these sockets, and we have corrected one that was wired incorrectly. Okay, so after that, let's just turn the power back on. After that, let's show you the house and show you what's happened after 10 minutes of it being finished. So we've got the main living room here, which does look great now. I mean, it wasn't just that it was undecorated before and filthy. Well, it was decorated, but it was absolutely filthy from years of children's handprints and muck going up the wall. But it was full of the rubbish that you collect over the years when you're in a culture that doesn't want to throw anything away. It's nice and clear now. I mean, when I stayed here, we had like clothes racks here, piles of clothes, dirty clothes, clean clothes, loads of linen baskets. Instead of emptying a linen basket, they used to buy a new one. So, and then this table was covered in a television and all sorts of rubbish. I mean, I love this sort of look now because it's plain, clean and very simple, a bit like me. But the thing is, that's how I live. I love to live really, really clean and tidy, as you've probably gathered. So to me, I would be living here and I wouldn't really add to this. I would put a sofa in here perhaps, just for sitting down comfortably, but that's all. I wouldn't let it get piled up with any rubbish or anything. I would insist that everything's away in the cupboards. Anyway, this is the smallest bedroom number 3, I think you would call it. Obviously, there's not a great deal to see with me panning around because it's all white walls. But these windows have come up really nicely, and to her credit, since Ray's been around recently cleaning the frames a bit from some of the paint spots that have got on them and touching the wood in. So the actual colour of these windows is fantastic now. So this is the room that we've just basically put everything in that's going to be staying here. Nice coloured door now. Lovely frames. I love these frames, the way they've come up. They're just like the ones we've got in the other house now. And they're absolutely beautiful like this. And then we've got the other bedroom number 2 here, which we've kept completely empty. Well, apart from the television, of course. Oh, hello, what's that down there then? Oh, there's obviously a little bit of rubbish to still hoover up. Let's go through to the kitchen area. This hasn't changed from the previous video that I showed you with this. Got a nice grey finish to the walls, and it's an exterior paint, so it should be able to be kept clean quite easily if it gets splashed with food particles or anything. The sink's now been regrouted fully, and it's got proper taps on it. Proper, I mean proper as in better than it used to have. Obviously those aren't your normal kitchen taps, are they? And sorry to the guy who said, please can you paint the blue pipes. We're just not going to do that. It's not part of the plan. We're not here for aesthetics. We're here for practicality and cheapness, in case you didn't realise, everyone. This kitchen has been used, and so things have been left here. Sunray didn't in the end tile up the walls under here, but she did tile on the floors, so that at least now when we put things under there we can get them out easily, and we can keep that area clean. I think she basically got fed up with working in such a confined space with very poor light, because we do have tiles enough to tile the walls, but again, it's just not worth it. The practicality of it is not as beneficial as having just the floor bit tiled. Yeah, so this is a typical Thai kitchen really. It's rather open, so it's going to be full of bugs and what have you, but we've got netting up to stop cats and birds and larger insects getting in, and mostly the leaves as well, most of the leaves that get blown around. So the odd bits of equipment you see here are just staying here. They're old, they're serviceable, but they're old, and the next person that's living here can use them. I do need to actually just get some ties just to tie that up there somewhere so that it's held up against the wall a bit better. That's the pump. That's what we plug the pump into. So that's a very serviceable space now, and potentially if someone has a mind to it, they can keep it nice and clean. But you know, that's the issue here really, is not so much providing the serviceable space, but actually getting someone to take care of it. Anyway, there's no excuses now really, are there? Because everything's now wipeable. And then the main bedroom is this one here, the one I've been working in with the electrics. So no one's actually going to be living here for the moment. The niece and her husband, if the house is still empty, when they come back they may well stay here. And we'll have occasional people sleep over just to give it an airing and to use it and make sure that people in the town, in the village, know that it's occupied in some manner. Let's go outside now and have a look round. So this is the outside space now. If you can remember at the beginning, there was a lime tree just here, which was massive, and it was encroaching on the roofs and it was falling over to the left. And we had a broken down boundary wall along here, and basically this was put to stone, which was full of weeds because the stones weren't laid deep enough. Because it was done when I wasn't here. That was my suggestion, to put it to stone, but it was done without me being here, and I wanted them to dig it out. I wanted actually them to dig out the ground to well below the level of the wall here, so that we had drainage that was not basically. It was below it was within the foundations of the house rather than at the same level as the build of the wall, if you get my drift there. But that didn't happen, so that was part of the problem as to why this house was so wet. Anyway, this boundary wall is now complete. We're not going to bother painting it, there's no point really. The edging's been completed now, so we've built the edge up a little bit to keep water away that may flow along this lower piece of concrete here. We want to keep it away from the house wall, so that's one barrier. And then behind that is a bit of plastic, and we've sealed the edge with mastic and painted it to try and stop any splashes from actually making their way down the edge. The roof overhang will largely protect the house, so any rain that comes that's of significant volume will actually tend to fall away from the house. It'll be landing somewhere down here where that shadow is, and then hopefully running towards the boundary wall. So there will be a few splashes on the wall, but it's an external paint, an exterior paint that we put on there, a Dulux product, very, very high quality, so we should be able to wipe it, keep it clean occasionally. So yes, the concrete laying is a bit rough and ready. If it was provided by a lorry, then it could have been poured in one hit and it would have looked a lot better, but again, that didn't happen because of access for the lorry really. There's no way it could get close enough for them to actually get it to pour, and so they would have had to have barrowed it around and from a considerable distance as well, because the closest it could have really got is in the temple grounds, a little way from the boundary wall, or on the main road running outside here. So they decided to hand mix it. But I'm not worried about the finish of this, because again, it's practicality, it's not aesthetics. We're not aiming to do the house up to sell it for a mega profit or anything like that. It's just to make it livable and keep it dry. And if no one does live in here, as long as the house stays dry and it gets cleaned occasionally, then I'll be happy with that, because we're preserving the asset. And that's really what this project's about. It's preserving the asset. Because if we'd left this house for another 2 to 5 years, I think we would have had a major collapse, certainly over this, in this corner here, and possibly along this whole edge. And the whole place would have been so wet that it would have basically been irretrievable. I think it would have been better to tear it down and rebuild. So we've ended up with orange paint down the side here, because the dark grey paint pot turned out to be orange. That doesn't matter, because no one's going to see this wall, and again, it's an exterior paint, very, very good quality Dulux product, and we've primed the wall, so I'm hoping that that will last a considerable number of years. And again, as it gets dirtied up, it can be cleaned if necessary. Not that I'm particularly worried about cleaning this area, because it's not really in anyone's view, but the paint will serve to protect from splashes and should keep the kitchen and the bathroom interior walls free of damp. As you can see, this area's got quite a bit of leaf fall already from these bamboo, which throughout the year drop their leaves. It's not a seasonal thing really. They've constantly got these long thin leaves growing and dying and being replenished. So this is a constant problem. Hence the lack of gutters, which would have been an absolute nightmare to keep clear for them to be effective. This section of the roof at the end here has been replaced because we had a leak in the kitchen. Oh, the reason we had a leak was because these panels had been purchased and they finished on this beam here, and instead of going right to there, and the overlap from this panel at the end here wasn't sufficient. And technically that panel is, in my view, the wrong way round at the moment. It's on top of the panel to its right, and I think it could well do with being underneath, but it's got a very good overlap now, and it's been sealed at the other end against the main house roof. So we're going to leave it like that and see how we get on. We've had a couple of rainstorms and we haven't had any leaks, so things are looking good on that front, because we used to get just a little bit of rain before and we used to get drips in the kitchen. This mains pipe has been brought in high because what happened once was it was underground from where you see the pipe coming out of the ground there. It was underground from there right into this plot of land that I'm standing in now. And the lady next door basically did a lot of digging and basically broke the pipe because it was so near the surface. So what Suntrade decided to do when she replaced it and repaired it was to actually raise it up so that it's visible, and no one's going to bash into it then, hopefully. But obviously we've got to be careful it's getting the right support because it's somewhat dangling. So it's supported by this wall now, and it's supported by the upright pipe to a degree, and I've put a stick there as well with a V in it to help keep it supported. And then when it came in here, it was completely at the wrong angle. It went right up in the air. So once we'd done all the major works, I cut the pipe and put a new joint in and just made it level, which takes the stress off it. So yeah, we've got this bit of pipe under the concrete, which is unfortunate in a way. But because we're having all of this area concreted, we haven't got any choice. We've got to have something under concrete. So we've got the mains going from there across to there. Not diagonally though. It goes, it actually comes down here and then down that way. I know the route of it, but if that should cause a problem and we do get a leak under that concrete, then I'll just basically cut it off and lay a fresh pipe above the concrete and fix it to the concrete above ground, because I think that's the best alternative really, so that we don't have a problem with leaks underground. And obviously if we get a problem with that tap, same thing, we'll just that actually leads off, I think, pretty much from there, so we would just have to take a new joint above ground and along the wall. So I've sort of got my eye on the future there. If we get a problem, I know what I'm going to be doing with it. So all the water goes into this tank here, the mains water, and it's controlled by a ball cock. The mains is off at the moment because basically no one's staying here, and that is full up. So that mains tap has actually been switched off. And indeed, as a matter of precaution and sensibleness, I'm going to turn that off. Anyway, when we want to fill the tanks around the other side, which actually feed the kitchen and the bathroom via the pump, that's done by turning various valves, starting with this green one here, and the pump takes the water from this tank and fills the other two up, and whilst that's pumping, the mains would be on to refill that blue tank. So that's that system. That's just it's not been designed like that, it's just happened like that. The first design was that tank, and then the gravity fed into the kitchen, and there was no real water going into the bathroom to speak of, nothing under pump force anyway. And then we added a pump, and we added the tanks to feed the pump, and we had no way of filling them, so the whole thing just sort of happened gradually. Right, out here, so this stack of hay or straw is gradually going down as it's taken to the farm, and this will be returned to garage use then, which isn't really much of a garage because it's not really big enough to get a car in, but anyway. What we got around here? Yeah, we've got a stack of rubbish here that needs clearing. I suspect that's going to stay there for quite a while. We've got to the point now where the odd bits and pieces aren't important, so they tend to get left, which is why I'm filming now rather than waiting for the whole thing to be really tidied up, so it's almost like it's a for sale house, because it will never happen. Bits of these pipe will disappear to the farm to be used gradually, and bits of the metal will be recycled perhaps, but what do we do with these tiles? Because there's no system for rubbish collection, and these are what are they? They're roof tiles. What are they? Ceiling tiles, I should say. What are they made of? They're like a cement board, aren't they? Plasterboard they are. We don't have a system for taking them and recycling them or anything really, so I can just imagine them getting left there until someone moves them and piles them up down there somewhere, and then they just get buried by leaves and rubbish over the years. It just seems to be how it is. We've got a new burning system now. we did so much burning of so much stuff that the concrete just got so hot it just disintegrated, so that's been replaced with a new ring. The ring of fire. Yes, that literally is the ring of fire. So what we've done is we've put the old lid from the poo tank, which didn't have a didn't have a proper lid to the hole in the middle, and got broken as well on the side. What we did, we dug out the old ring, broke it off at ground level, dug it out a little bit, put that ring, that cover on, and it's got a hole in the middle, which you can see there. And the idea is that gives you airflow, and we've raised that lid off the ground slightly. We've put stones around it in certain places, so there's a bit of an airflow going underneath it and going in through that hole there and through the edge there, and that means that we should have a more efficient fire burning pit. Poo holes, I'm surprised actually that it's been done, it's been finished really, but normally Suntory would want that lid actually concreted in or mortared in to stop smells coming out, because at the moment there's a gap around it. There's no one using it at the moment, no one's using the toilet, so we're not getting any smells because of that reason. But I think she's going to have to mix up a bit of mortar with some of the sand and a bit of odd cement that's lying around and get that mortared in. That's another little job that I must mention to her. So we've got the two tanks here, so I've got 2 cubic meters of water here, outside tap which is gravity fed. We've got the pump which is set up to draw water from the tank around the other side when necessary by switching a few of these valves around. Apart from that, it feeds the bathroom along here, there, and then it goes around the corner and feeds the shower, and then it goes a bit further and feeds the kitchen. So that's very, very simple. The drainage seems to work very well. Put a slightly different bend pipe on the end here, so it's not 90 degree, which will make it easier for the water to flow out, especially when the water from the monsoon is pouring down here. Oh yes, and I did the same with these pipes coming out of the kitchen sinks. So I've explained already before in another video, but just to recap, these aren't stuck on, they're just pushed on, and there's a hole through both pipes with a nail to hold it in place so that the flow of water doesn't push the pipe off and allow water to just drain down the wall of the house. And what I've done is I've actually put a slightly different, instead of a 90 degree bend at the bottom, I've put what is it? That's a 60 degree bend, isn't it? 45 degree bend. Is that right? Yeah, 45 degree bend on the bottom. And the reason for that is that you get a lot of rubbish, bits of food particle and odd bits of stalk from the food going down here, and they can easily block this pipe, but if you've got the same at the bottom, they can block that one as well. So I just thought, well, I'll put a 45 degree bend on the bottom just to keep it free flowing, really, stop it blocking up, give it more of a chance. I couldn't do anything about the 90 degree bend up here because I wanted this pipe to be vertical here. I don't want it sticking out along here because obviously I want to keep this area free flowing for the rain. The more obstruction we have along here, the more likely it is to get blocked by leaves and twigs and things, which is why I've managed to stick this water pipe, which is the pipe from the tank round the other side to feed these 2 tanks behind me. I've managed to stick that in there, jam it in there, keep it off the floor by and large until it gets down to this area, and that's to keep the floor from potentially blocking up. I could probably, with a bit of cleverness, I could probably get that mounted there as well permanently. but I'm not going to bother. Alright, we've got our little concreted in drain area. Sorry to those who feel it's a bit of a rough job. It is a very rough job, but after a couple of years that'll smooth off, I'm sure, as the water flows through it. Anyway, I've dumped quite a lot of concrete there, and these side panels, this one here and that one there, they go in below the level of this floor here, so I'm hoping they won't basically break off or be forced over by water that's coming off this area here. But I think that whole flow out of there will give a nice bit of protection to the land just here, and by the time it gets to this edge here, the water will be flowing relatively straight and at a slower speed, and it'll be about twice as wide as when it came out from the side of the house. So I'm hoping that will give a gentler flow down here and away. Centray's grass is growing quite nicely. She's done well. She's managed to protect it. Very ugly protection boards, of course, but grass has actually grown quite well here, and yeah, I think that'll work. I think what she was saying is going to work. That'll grow up quite large and thick and give a little bit of stability to that bank. Right, that's it. That's everything really. The cobwebs covered in soot from the fire. So yeah, there's a little bit of tidying to do. As I understand it, Centurion might aim to rent this place out to a couple of teachers who might need to start at the local school here. So she's going to have a word with the headmaster about that. So for the moment it's going to stay empty because the niece and her husband are away again, gone back to work, and to be fair, they probably would only stay here a month in each year. But it's a shame. I know this has been painted out in white, which is probably the worst colour on earth for a house to be kept clean in, but this is the sort of thing that frustrates me a little. This isn't my house. This was my project because I wanted to force the issue of getting it sorted and protect the asset, but it's not my house, so it's none of my business in that sense. But you know, we've literally been finished about 4 days, and we've got a red mark here from crayon. So somebody, i.e. a child, has been in here and decided to draw something. And there's a bit here as well. I mean, FFS, I wish I could say it out loud, really, really loudly, but there you go. And then in this corner here, I don't know if you're going to be able to pick this up, but there's just loads of finger marks. Oh, there you go, you can see that, can't you? Can you see the difference in the shading? Loads of hand marks and finger marks here in this corner. Again, I mean, you know, why do people have to sort of come into a house and put their hands on the wall? I noticed someone did come in and talk to us while we were doing something the other day, and he just leant against this post with his hand, and he'd just come straight out of his workplace, so he was filthy. Just what is up with them? They just don't seem to understand that when someone has a nice place, that they want to keep it that way. There you go, this is Thailand. Oh, there's another little bit of crayon there. I mean, the crayon will come off. crayon will come off with my cleaning fluid, my Sif and Vim cleaning fluid. But I don't know, I might bring it along and just clean up what's here now. Now we know it's going to be locked up and left. So there you go. So any of you that are thinking of building and living with people with young kids, that's what you can expect. And I did experience it with another lady I was with early on in my Thai career, exactly the same problems. Young child, foot marks and finger marks on all the walls wherever he walked or lay. There you go. So there's only one other thing that I'm concerned about, and I'm waiting for the parts to come, and that is this blue pole here. You can see I've got 3 straps on it, which are temporary, just to make sure it's held in place if there was a bit of a storm. I'm waiting for some strapping to come, and then I will put what I believe it will provide is 8 straps around that area. So that'll be my last job really, and then I'll be happy with that.